All right, we're live, straight from the hills of North Carolina and St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome to the Moat, where we break down real business decisions and the problems behind them. I'm Sam Robinson.
And I'm Kyle Harbaugh.
Every week, we find real businesses, real numbers, and real stakes, and show you how to build a business competitors can't easily copy, take, or kill.
Let's build the moat.
All right.
All right, Sam, good to see you again. How you doing today?
Hey man, I'm living life. I've got a 10-week old. I've got a cup of coffee, and I'm ready to go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, lots of things to talk about. Man, I feel like there is just development after development in the business community in the marketplace, and so there's lots of things to talk about. I have a few different things. I wanted to first get your ideas around this whole thing that happened with Cracker Barrel last year. Um, it was quite a debacle. So Cracker Barrel unveiled a minimalist text logo in August of 2025. They dropped Uncle Herschel. I don't know how they dropped Uncle Herschel, but they did.
Well, he was getting old, so they had to retire him.
Oh, is that what
I'm
it is?
kidding. Not when you're a brand logo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and one that's, I mean, it's just been around forever, forever. Well, they dropped him, and they felt a lot of pressure very, very quickly. Their stock price dropped 13%. They got a lot of different pressure from their customers, from the community. So they reversed course, and 6 days later they said we need to rethink things, and they ended up bringing back Uncle Herschel.
It's funny because it's like, and Cracker Barrel is one of those ones that I've gone to for a very long time. Like as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult now. As a family, and it's changed, right? There's an evolution of a business, but the problem is that the customers, this goes back to the same things that we've been talking about over and over and over again. It's like the herd of buffalo analogy that I mentioned yesterday, actually, where it's like your herd of buffalo. That's who your audience is. That's who's buying from you. That's your customer, and they're currently moving, and they're changing in their journey, and they've got people that are up. They have kids, and they're up and coming too, and they don't have an affinity for Cracker Barrel, but they may, depending on the memories they make.
Right.
And when the product, the service, the concept, etc., the people change, and it's not the same place that you used to go to as an adult, you stop going there,
Right.
and it's just not the same. It's like, when I walk into Cracker Barrel, I'm not expecting some sanitized down McDonald's location or even a super nice restaurant. I'm expecting to get maybe a splinter on my hands and to sit by the fire with a cup of a hot cup of coffee and a breakfast.
Mm,
Like it's very much, it's not gimmicky, but it is who their brand is and who they are.
right.
So the brand logo was showing that of who they are, and then when they changed the logo, many of the people realized that Cracker Barrel was not the same Cracker Barrel it was years ago, and so they kind of woke up to the idea and they said, I'm not going to go back there. And then next thing you know, the optics of that, stock price falling, etc.
Yeah, I think I mean, like you said, the business evolves, and I think there had been changes overall, but you know, some things remained the same, like the logo. And you know, departing from that logo was a I think it helped, like you said, wake people up that like things have changed, and this isn't the place that I once used to really love and enjoy, and come to in times past. So I think that there's any established brand really needs to take stock of what they have done, and we talk a lot about innovation, that you can't rest on your laurels. At the same time, you need to understand what has been working, and before you make any big changes, you should probably do some research into what your customers care about, and how they would feel if you changed the logo, because it would be far less expensive to do that type of research on the front end than have your stock price fall 13% and get all sorts of people mad at you.
Say good luck with those dividends. But again, that was offhand comment. But what I will say is, like, as an owner, you should really say goodbye to the loyals, not lawyers, laurels. Maybe I need some more coffee. But you cannot rest back on the things of the past. It's very much like in baseball, you have another at bat. Like, it's time for the next at bat. Like, your prior, maybe you hit a home run, maybe you did really good in the last at bat just recently, but you're at your next one and you're sitting there striking out. That's one thing, but it's like to, like, for another, again, in baseball term, end the inning, meaning that, like, you get into a double or triple play because you didn't do listen to the right sign, you didn't make the you didn't put in a concerted effort ahead of time before you're going up there. You're not paying attention. Maybe you're getting lazy. You're like, yeah, I went, I'm 3 for 3 today. I don't really need to do anything else, even though my team's down. I could really care less. I've got all my stats for today. I'm just going to go ahead and sit back and enjoy myself. It's like, no, you're going to get up there and you're going to make a concerted effort. It's the same thing in business, that you really need to get up there with a concerted effort as an owner and say, okay, if we're making a change, something from an optics standpoint. So we have this. So internally, we have this document that's connected to an Eisenhower matrix. So those that don't know, it's what's urgent versus what's important. We have math around that. The one aspect that we have additionally is attention, because that is a huge issue as of right now. And so we have the math to decide on what things you should actually put your time and attention into. And so we use that over and over and over again in our business to decide on what we actually need to do next. And it's very helpful. So if the thing that you should have paid attention to, so for instance, they say, oh, the brand looks great, everyone's refreshing their brand like this, and you refresh your brand and it doesn't go well, and you want to know why. It's because you didn't ask your marketplace. You didn't ask your buffalo that are going. So I think that's really important to understand and make a concerted effort on of how that's going and what that should look like.
Yeah, something also I'd just from a like personal perspective, I can say the world is changing very quickly, and I find a certain amount of comfort and peace in a familiar, established thing, whatever that might be. And so, if you are, like I said before, if you are an established, long-standing brand, service, product, whatever it might be careful what you change, because people might be coming back because, like, man, the world's crazy and things are changing, but this thing remains the same. This is like my constant, my piece, if you will, and I want to go back to it. I want to keep buying it. I want to keep, receiving this type of service, whatever it might be, because it's just this constant that has not changed. So I think that's something worthwhile to consider. Doesn't mean you don't make changes. I think ultimately you listen to your customers and hear about how they would feel about making a change, or do some research so that you're moving
Hmm.
forward in an intelligent way, in a data driven way.
Yeah, and on that same note, there's the reverse issue. Okay,
Mm,
um,
tell me
so
more.
so there, and actually, I picked this up from Apple with Steve Jobs when he was creating the iPhone and creating a number of these different products. And one of the things that he said is that there's an incredible amount of craftsmanship that needs to go in to these, to not only what you're doing, but also the products and who you're serving. And his main point was is that the people don't know what they want. They really don't. And
It's a
I thought
good
that was
point.
really interesting because it's like, well, if I go and ask them, they would tell me what they wanted. Well, the real issue with craftsmanship is ideas are cheap, execution is hard. And
Right.
bringing something into the physical world, it's very hard for some people to conceptualize what they actually want.
True.
So, fast forward, this was a little bit more than a decade ago. I asked the question. I was like, well, and I really hadn't understood this, but I was like, well, we'll just have everybody, and I was getting all the feedback from everybody, and everyone gave me a bunch of different stuff. It was great, but then the problem is that then they expected it. It's like,
Mm,
oh, I gave you feedback. I expect this. There's expectations, even though they're unsaid, that they're expecting you to actually deliver and execute on their feedback because it
yeah.
was important to you. And you
Yeah.
say, I'm going to take this feedback. It's gonna be great. We're gonna work on it. Okay, well, what are you working on and why? And so um, I ended up through that journey understanding what a design partner was. And so a design partner is somebody that you can ask for really critical feedback. They're going to give you the good, bad, and the ugly, but you're not asking a wide breadth of those folks. And so from your customer base, you may have one, two, or three of those. It may not be out of 100. It's a very small, what's called focus group, fo- uh, from a design partner standpoint from a product. And I would have done that same thing for the logo for Cracker Barrel and say, look, you know, what do you think? And they're like, no, dude, like, don't
Mm,
touch it. You need the guy on the chair, you need the barrel, you need to keep everything. Like, don't touch it. It's your brand identity. Now maybe they do change and refresh the logo, but they got to keep the elements in there that people use to identify the store. They use the same two main things. It's like the guy, the chair, and the barrel. Like, it's gonna make sense. It's like you think you would go to Cracker Barrel and see a barrel on the logo.
right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great point. Um, all right. Well, I think overall the big takeaway here is the moat lesson is you can destroy your own moat.
Hmm.
That it's not it can be through good intentions, but if you don't actually know why the customers are loyal, modernizing isn't always a good thing. You need to test changes incrementally, and you need to realize the brand that you've established and guard that. And so, understanding who you are as a brand is very very important. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's our first takeaway. Wanted to just speak to the audience. So if you are watching the show, we're glad you're here, and if you have a question, we're a live show. We'll see your chat. Leave your question in the chat, and we're happy to interact with you, answer those business questions live here. Um, and if for some reason you're not able to, get your question answered here, or maybe you don't want to speak publicly, we're more than happy to have a conversation with you privately. And so you can book a time with us at our website, chiefgoofficers.com, or we will leave a link in the comments so that you can book that time as well.
Yep. And for those that are not that haven't liked, subscribe, would love to have you hit that bell. Would love to have you on either on the show or asking questions. Again, these are real businesses. These are real business decisions. Things change very quickly in our world. AI being one of them. New businesses refreshing. We're seeing a lot of infrastructure changes across different businesses. And so there's some really interesting things going on right now. So feel free to join in the discussion, share comments, share some opinions. Would love to have those too.
All right, Sam, let's talk now about Spotify. So,
Okay. What part of it?
so yeah, so Spotify has been, doing some really good things, some really smart things. So let me get my notes up in here. Okay, so Spotify raised U.S. premium to 12.99 in early 2026. This is the third of recent hikes in price. Um, they currently have 293 million premium subscribers, and they had a record 715 million in quarter one 2026 operating income, with analysts citing pricing power and low churn. The $1 increase and a $1 increase adds an estimated 500 million in annual revenue. So yeah, let's talk about that. What's
Well,
going on here? Why is that important?
okay. So for those that don't have a Spotify membership, you're really missing out. I have Spotify. Believe it or not, I really like it. I used to use Pandora. I've used all sorts of different streaming applications before. I love music, and the thing I like more about Spotify is that I can one. I don't always have to use data. I can download my songs or upload my songs to be able to use. It's a bi-directional app where I can use and listen to music and all sorts of ones. So you can go and like make your own music and publish right on Spotify. And the algorithm, when you go to search, will pull it up, or and people can make playlists about it. You can make public playlists. You can make private playlists. I've got a wedding one that from my wedding that I have on there back from 2017. I love Spotify and the fact that it doesn't force music on me, and I can decide on what I like and I don't like. So there's a lot of autonomy within the app. Um, and in fact, like when I first joined, I had all these benefits that goes along with the phone plan that I had. And the
Mm,
thing is that out of all of the subscriptions that I pay for right now, I would not leave Spotify. Like if even if they hiked it to double, I would still pay that at this point because I use it almost all day every day. It's like it's playing something, and I have the family version of it, and we use it quite often. Road trips, personally, morning, afternoon, evening, on the when I'm on the road between things.
yep.
And the reality is that like they're only doing a $2 price hike. I think they would get a lot more flack if they doubled it. But the reality is that the bar is set so much higher with the other streaming services. So video, for instance,
Yep.
of like Disney Plus, YouTube TV, Hulu, those bars are higher. So the buyers that are going in are expecting a higher price, even if it's just music. It's a smaller amount, and it's saying, okay, well, I'm not watching videos, but I'm still really enjoying my music. Why would I not have Spotify? It's only 10 now $12 a month. It's really not that big a deal, especially if my Starbucks order is going to cost more than that one
Yeah,
time.
and you bring up a good point that like for me, I don't watch a lot of TV, and so I have Amazon Prime, and that's it. Like that's and I'm happy with that. I'm right now. I'm watching Jack Ryan, and that's cool. Like they have good quality shows on there. So, I like watching a little bit of TV with my wife at the end of the day sometimes, but I would say I listen to a lot more Spotify because I'm often listening to music and I'm often listening to podcasts. I do a lot of listening to podcasts,
Mm,
and I love that feature that you mentioned about like downloading something and then
yep.
having it, and you can listen to it if your reception is poor, or maybe you're like on a flight and you can't really use your data, you
Hmm.
can't use your signal. And so there's all sorts of good reasons to download, and I like that a lot. And then I think the other neat thing about what Spotify has done is the personalization aspect of their brand. Like every year, my wife says, "Oh, look, um, they wrapped my playlist for the year. They said,
End
oh,
of the
this
year
is
wrap up.
yeah, the end of year
Yeah.
wrap up exactly." Or she was like thrilled this last year because it Spotify guessed that she was like, I don't know, 21 or something. And some of so we we're involved in our youth group at church, and several of the kids that are in youth actually had a an older like Spotify age than
Hmm.
she did. So she's
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, so she's like, I'm younger than you.
It's funny. It was like showing top songs for me and top artists, and I was looking through there, and I paused on top songs, and I was like, why do I have Baby Shark as one of my tops? I was like, oh, my children.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like because it's like play, 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 play. I listen to a lot of music. I was actually there was one particular band that I enjoyed. Ended up as like one of like their top 1% listener. I had no idea, but I really liked their music, so I decided
Wow.
to keep listening to it. And they were called the Parcels, um, and loved it. And then it gave like there was like a custom end of the year video that the band actually recorded and says, "Hey, you're one of our top listeners. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us still for you to listen to our music." And I was like, "That's really cool. That's
Yeah,
really
that
cool."
that that's super cool. I
Yeah.
love that. That's a really cool touch. Yeah.
And I didn't anticipate that as for like as like a top listener. I had no idea that I was a top listener, but they recorded that, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a personalized, not necessarily a personalized message, but it's personal because it's like top to the top 1% that listened. There was a
Mhm.
lot,
Mhm.
but I got that video, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna keep listening to your music. But it made me want to stay because I was like, well, what if I end up as a top 1% listener to somebody else? I'm going to end up having, this personalized message. So
Yeah.
I felt very seen with Spotify and the fact that it was the end of the year wrap up. And not only did they do it, like other businesses started to catch on of like, oh, we need to do an end of the year wrap up, and they were quickly trying to like build something. And they were all kind of like half baked because it was like they're just trying to push it out there because other people were looking for end of the year wrap ups.
You're right, right, and no, and I,
Mm,
I I have seen people do it well. I've also, like you said, it doesn't hit the same,
yeah.
but yeah, it's a really good idea to think about is what makes, or how can you personalize your service. I mean, people like feeling special. I mean, who doesn't like to feel special? Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So the moat lesson here is habitual daily use plus personalization creates switching friction. That it supports repeated price increases. A sticky product embedded in customers' routine is a moat with low churn.
Yeah, I'll just say it like this. Like, let's say, for instance, I owned a bus, right? And it was a bus line, and
Hmm.
I owned I own that bus line, okay? And I have customers that are expecting that bus and need that bus on time. I had that bus on time all the time. They're going to be a sticky customer because they need to take the bus from a public transit standpoint. Now, if there's a second bus that comes by that's more convenient for them and is more, maybe more clean, better suited, safer, it's going to become less sticky. And I think of it very much as like if I have something that I'm going to be consistent in, I might as well have something that's personalized, especially if they're going to be consistent. And the reality is where we are today for software, most of the interactions are via software.
Yeah.
There's no like you like goodbye if you cannot personalize. Goodbye if you can't automate, update, make it fresh for what these people are looking for. You have no excuse. Call it $2 million. Okay, well I can go and do the same thing for a certain amount of Claude tokens now. Like the reality is that that's broken. Like if you said it's going to take $2 million and 6 months to go and fix, you could probably fix it in about a week now for significantly less money. Like that amount of money and that timing does not work anymore. That is out the door.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I think um, AI has really kind of spoiled us in some ways. I mean, we were already spoiled with, like next day shipping and stuff like that. But now we've come to expect things much in a much faster way. Just a very accelerated timeline. And I think service providers, whatever your service is, need to think through that the expectation. People know that these things can be achieved faster, and it's like either one, why aren't you doing it, or two, like you're holding back on us. Like, we want better service because we're used to getting it super fast now.
And just because it's super fast does not mean the quality is high.
True.
And internally we call it artificial idiocy. It's like, or at least I do. I was like, I'm not going to ship something that's like that's just not going to be good. It's going to be very bad. It's got to be intelligent. It's got to be high quality
Right.
if you're going to actually ship it and provide it to somebody. And it's got to be personalized. Again, if you want to be legalistic about it, get a checkbox out, go all through them, all through that, and say, here's my expectations of what I want, how we want it done, and build it. Like send that to an AI to build and say, okay, yes, the quality was there, yes, it's not. So you're basically going. And there's new infrastructure, and maybe we'll talk about this in another Moat episode of how some of the bigger companies are seeing software development, how that's actually changed. Instead of the multiple stages, they're seeing it in three. So there's like basically the beginning, it's like the middle of like making sure it doesn't go off the rails, and then the end of like quality control. And so it's basically a new project management approach compared to the older traditional models. Maybe some more on that at a later point in time. But if you're going to make it personalized, you've really got to focus on the requirement stage of like gathering that, of understanding exactly how it needs to be before you go and deliver it. And you have to have that quality assurance. Just because the AI checked it doesn't mean it's actually working.
Right.
Might have
Yeah.
broken a few things.
Yeah, and we keep, this is something we keep coming back to, and we're going to continue to come back to. There has to be a quality control vetting process. You have to have a human in the loop, at least for most things. That would be my recommendation.
Hmm.
Um, you need to be able to have a human look at it and verify that it is accurate, that it is correct before you actually go through with it and ship it out, or start actually using it at scale. We've just seen so many issues, where people get into trouble because they use something, and the AI didn't have enough context, or it hallucinated, whatever it might be. Could be user error, it could be AI error, or it could be a bit of both. Um,
You're probably
yeah.
looking at user error. You know what? One of my favorite prompts that I've seen, which I think is hysterical, funny, like one of the funniest things that I see put people put in, and this is becoming a bigger and bigger thing to the point that I'm actually seeing AI train on it. Like,
Mm,
and it's like, you know, do such and such and such, and then make no mistakes. I'm like, that's that no, it doesn't work that way. And the prompt, it's a prompt is up to of how the AI is going to take that is like so many different directions. Yeah,
right.
it doesn't know what no mistakes means. It
Right.
doesn't, and nor will it ever. The reality is, even if you do oversteer and overcorrect the AI, it's just not going to understand. And so
Yeah.
saying no, make no mistakes basically means so many different things to so many different models that it's like, okay, well, I'll make no mistakes on the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, it's comprehensive enough. No mistakes. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's very meaningless. I mean, it's why we talk so much about blind spots with our clients. Like a blind
Mhm.
spot means you're blind to it. You don't see it. It's not something that, you know, you're focused on. You're focused on these other things. And because you're focused on these other things, you're not, looking at this thing over here
Mhm.
that there's a big opportunity or a big risk, whatever it might be. Um, so it's very helpful to identify all the different areas that need attention, and one where you're focused and what things you're not focused on, and who's helping you, you know cover those blind spots. And if the answer is nobody, then you're neglecting some stuff.
Exactly, and I was listening to someone speak this morning about from a leadership perspective, from the larger companies, from an enterprise perspective,
Hmm.
that risk needs to be top of the list. So if you're going through and you're going to build something for a business, it needs to address what's wrong first. It really does, and the reality of that. Here's the reality of that: if you're going to build with AI and you're going to use AI, you've got to start with the risks. It's like, what's wrong in this? It's like, okay, that's an okay question to ask, but you've got to start dreaming. There's a couple new techniques out called dreaming first. Basically,
Mm.
you got to go and dream and have the AI dream first. Well, that does okay, but it's just going to go through its information. It's not going to combine things. There's not really a great combining methodology. I've seen one release very recently that I'm testing, and it's okay that it's going and trying to basically integrate ideas. The problem with that, and a lot of that from a risk first approach, and also as a business, even if you're going and creating a product or doing different things, is that it only is so it's machine learning, it's an algorithm, it's going off of what it knows and its training data. Well, what if something is outside the training data? You're going to get 0 to maybe 30% of that at best. The reality and the numbers don't lie in the fact that it's not going to get better than that. It's just
Hmm.
not. So, and in fact, one of my favorite examples within the past month here is someone trained a machine learning algorithm, so an LLM.
Yep.
They made an LLM based on news articles and how things were done, and like the I think it was like the either 1950s or early 1900s. I read the paper. I wish I remember the exact date. I'm not historical, but I thought it was really interesting in the fact that when given new information, it could not like work on that at all. Like it couldn't figure that out at all. It just didn't. But it could figure out all the things from the past. Well,
Mm.
why is that? Because it's an algorithm based on that information of that day. So
Yeah.
if I say, you know, it's like what's hip and happening, you know, or if I say, you know, I'm gonna go take my Ferrari, or um, I'm going to I need to get to England. What's the fastest way to get there? And it's not going to say, well, you should take this airplane. You
Right.
know, doesn't know
Right.
what it doesn't understand that. There's certain pieces of technology of like, or like, hey, I'm trying to build, blah 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 blah. Write me some software. If it was trained on that from before in the 1950s or even earlier, it's just not going to understand what a computer is,
Right.
or these other things. And so the question then becomes, okay, well, quality of life, quality of the models. Are we basically in a death spiral for, okay, I'm just going to train a large language model for the rest of my days? And there's some people that think they have answers to that, and maybe more on that later. And I think I think the truth is going to be stranger than fiction on this one. I truly do.
That is fascinating. Like, yeah, um, the idea of something, being having only information from 50 years ago or something like that, where it just has a very different perspective.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, oof, that's really
I'm,
interesting.
yeah. For those that are listening, I'm going to try. I have it bookmarked. I'm going to go try to find my bookmark and post it back in the chat for this live show, so you can go and see it. It was just super fascinating. And they had a whole paper and a test on it. It was really cool.
Hmm. Well, Sam, we've been talking, and I why don't you tell people who we are? Like, what do we do?
I'm
And
Sam, don't you know? No, I'm kidding. No. So, Chief Go Officers stands for Growth and Operations. We're executive leadership, fractional leadership that can embed in your business to get things done that you don't have the time to, or you don't have the people, and you can solve that with money. Again, we start as a consultancy. We have AI, a large amount of intelligence that knows how to look at risk, knows can know your business, and has many other businesses, literally thousands of other businesses baked into it, that can tell you exactly what you need to do. It's going to look at your blind spots. It's going to tell you, here's the risk, here's the, your potentials in your business, and tell you how to move forward so you can increase your customer base, increase even the price. Maybe you have a price increase. Maybe there's another way you need to go about your market. Maybe you need a different market or a different product.
Mhm.
You're going to find out through this report. It's called Step AI. And we consult on that. We have a human in the loop. We are asking great questions. We meet you eyeball to eyeball to help you figure out what's going on. And we use a large amount of intelligence to help get there. Once that happens, you can have our group as an embedded form of leadership to get things done, or on a project base. So, in short, we're your embedded leaders for your company to help you scale faster than ever before. So if you haven't, go to chiefgoofficers.com. We would love to talk with you. You can find that to book a time. Also, there's links directly to our calendars. We would love to have you. So www.chiefgoofficers.com, and have yourself a day. There's great resources on there for you too.
But Sam, isn't like aren't you know AI systems like aren't they all just training on our data? Like, I don't really want to put my data, my personal information, my business information into these models.
Yeah, neither do I. And the reality is that most of these models, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, are trained on information and data, and they're figuring out ways to protect it. Both going to court. Each one is going over a different route. And there's a lot of news regarding that, and we're seeing the rise of not just agentic framework for people to get things done, but we're also seeing the ROI not being justified simply because the amount of tokens or the amount of money that you have to pay to put words on a page and to get intelligence written is simply too high and not
Mm,
manageable. And
mm,
so we have a tool that we can have it locally, that if you want to embed that in your business, make it usable, depending on how many people you have and how many people you need to scale. We have a model that you can own your data, you can have the data sovereignty, you can have the compliance, you can literally spin that up by literally having a machine. So if it is something that you want, reach out to us. We have it, and you own the data, you own the compute, you own everything in that process, which means that you are not exposing your business to risk unnecessarily.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I'm glad that we got that out there.
Hmm.
So it's a private, local system that's not trained on the entire internet, but on curated, selected, verified information that is very highly vetted and accurate.
Correct.
Great. All right. Well, let's stay on the AI topic. We're going to
Okay.
talk about ChatGPT now. So on May 5th,
Hmm.
2026,
Hmm.
OpenAI made ChatGPT advertising accessible to any US business through a self service ad manager. No premium spend required. The platform already logs 200, excuse me, 2.5 billion in daily prompts and generated 100 million in annualized ad revenue in the first 6 weeks of launch.
How much was that again? Ad revenue?
Ad revenue is $100 million annualized.
Got it. Over those first, you said first 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yes, correct.
Okay. And that's annualized, so it's not the actual money they have as the initial pop. Once people understand what's going on with their information from the ad revenue, they're like, I don't know if necessarily know if I want to
Well,
use this
we
anymore.
will see. We will see. I mean, there's a lot of changes right now with AI, and
Yes, and most of it subsidized.
right.
Here I'm going to talk through two major risks on using a public model right now.
Okay.
Number one, if you link up your business information and your moat is entirely based on ChatGPT, Claude, these other companies, this is venture capital money that's subsidizing the actual cost for the responses that you're getting. I saw a report. I don't. I'm really struggling to believe it. But I saw a report that says we're probably looking at somewhere around 10x once the venture capital runs off to actually
Mhm.
be able to be profitable. So instead of it being $100 a month, you're probably looking at maybe $1,000 a month. Um, I saw that a 200, basically about a $200 a month Claude Code subscription, if you're maxing that out, which there's a lot of people that are, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $20,000 of actual cost.
That's
For them.
wild.
Uh, it is, and so that's why people are not using their APIs. They're using and reselling a lot of their. They're actually having current issues right now with resellers saying, "Oh, I'm going to sign up with this bogus email. I'm going to pay you through this like random bank account, and then I'll basically like subsidize that subscription." So I'll upcharge for it, or I'll charge bits and pieces there. So this is actually happening right now, mainly out of China, but there's also other countries that are doing this too, and they're also using it to train a lot of their models. So it's like you come up with the frontier model, everyone gets on, and then next thing you know, they've downloaded the entire new model, asked for all the reasoning, asked for all these different things that you trained and spent all this hard work on, and now they have it. Um, and so what's happening from a risk standpoint is that if you're using these models and you left the default checks on there, and it means that you all of a sudden let your data, just because you uncheck it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be all the new ones by and large, not the old ones. So you're like, oh man, I've got to rotate like all these things that I put on there. Look, the reality is that we're not immune to that. I've made mistakes too. I went and scrubbed it, and then I just assumed that it had access, and I just needed to change everything. And so, was it a lot of work? Yes. It sucked. Yes. And so that's the reality is that it's these are data wars. We are in data wars right now of like, okay, if I know someone's going to be in a certain place, so let's say for instance I know Sam Robinson's going to be at the Lowe's,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I know that he's been asking about living rooms. Let's say for instance I'm not, but let's say for instance there's another room that I'm thinking of, but let's say I'm looking for living rooms. Well, the obvious thing is that I'm probably going to want to see advertisement, or I might be walking into a Lowe's to do some sort of project for my living room. And if
Right.
I have the data to go and approve that, I've now got it's going to remind me of things that maybe are on the bottom shelf. Maybe that advertiser wants to get in front of me and say, "Hey, you should probably have, since you're going to be moving stuff around, you probably need sliders for a lot of your furniture." Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I don't want to scuff up my floor. My wife's going to get upset at me if I go and scuff up the floor. So let's go ahead and buy
Right.
those sliders.
Yep.
So so they're really getting into this point about ad revenue simply because we're in data wars, and like people want to know your data. They want to know like why you would purchase it, like and there's all these custom analytics that they're building so that way they guess what, from a business perspective, they want to know because they can make a sale. If I know someone's going to go purchase something, I want to get in front of them to be the first person in line. And what does data do? It allows me to get there,
Yep.
as long as it's the right data. Okay, there's that. That's the first thing. The second thing about the data and advertising in these data wars. The second thing is that, and going back to the first one of the major points that I made is that the cost, and the reality is that people are starting to wake up to these costs. I don't want to spend like some of the stuff that I've went and built, that I now got local models and local AI and local things that I'm doing. I would have spent probably definitely over $1 million at this point, and just being able to build those things. And I was able to solve it for the cost of electricity, really
Right.
super cheap. Like from a local model standpoint, I don't have to go and do these crazy things. And then okay, well now I've got the data, I've used my data, I have educated my AI to some degree, and now I can make synthetic data, which is a whole different topic in and of itself for another day. And I can use that to go train, guess what? My next model. And so I can understand the right language.
Yep.
And so we're going to start to see the rising prices in AI. So if your AI, basically your infrastructure from your business is based on API access for these larger models, you're in for a hurting next year. You really
Yeah.
are hurting next year and the year after. It's already gone up, and again, most of these are for frontier models. The problem is that it's really hard to go backwards to the old models, because you use like, oh man, I really like this. There's all these different changes. Well, okay, yeah, there's all these different changes, but it's also way more expensive, and our infrastructure is built on the prior model. And the price goes down, less people are using it. Great. Okay. Well, what happens if they deep six the model? That was the main issue that woke me up, was that I can't keep I couldn't keep some of the stuff that I was trying to build accurate, and it was changing. The information I had to give it was changing. The discussions were changing, yeah, for the better, but I couldn't get consistent results. And because I couldn't
Right.
get consistent results, because it's expecting something different because the training data, then like how am I supposed to do that? So we went and decided to solve that and said goodbye to everything. It's like I can't deal with that anymore. Let's go and do our own thing. So we did, and that's been way better, more consistent. I can get the results that I'm looking for, and so rising costs. Okay, so I ended
Hmm.
up with three things instead of two, but rising cost, data wars, and then consistency. And all of those are large risks for a business, especially if you're expecting a report and all of a sudden you're getting different information than you got before, or maybe some things that are blank because they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think that the, the idea of advertisements on these is a good way to subsidize and make money, so that maybe they can keep the costs low. But we also see a lot of use cases they're not going to use a system, an open cloud system like ChatGPT or Grok or whatever it is. They're going to bring everything in house, and so they're not going to get in front of those ads, aren't going to get in front of their user like they are maybe right now. A lot of people
Hmm.
haven't built things now, but I think that could change very quickly if a lot of people bring their AI in house. And I mean, that's one of the things we specialize with. So it's I think that's a lot of people are moving in that direction.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see the rise of local AI. We really are. So, for instance, like with GLM, their latest release, the 5.2, we're seeing the fact that it's like it's almost as good as some of the frontier models. People are saying it's 3 months behind. I think it. My personal opinion is that without an orchestration layer and an agentized environment, it's always going to be worse. A lot of these AI companies, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., have what's called reasoning models. Well, the thing is that really it just comes down to sophisticated planning and orchestration between different agents that they build, tools and skills. And so we're seeing people being able to cut the amount of tokens down by a significant margin. And okay, yeah, they're still okay. I've got less cost. Maybe I've cut my cost down by 90%. That's really great. And I'm seeing that across the board for those that have wised up, and not many. Like I'm only like maybe about 5% at best, but or at least in the swatches that and communities that I'm in. Um,
Hmm.
and so what I will say is that they're still using your data, and you don't
Right.
have the data sovereignty. What happens? And so I just really like this question. What happens when one of your employees, prompted or unprompted, decides that they feel like they need to use AI for something to ask a really good question that they cannot figure out? And instead of sitting there for the next 2 or 3 hours, they just want to ask the question to see if they can work it out
Right.
and be much faster. Are they going to use ChatGPT? Are they going to use Claude? Maybe Grok? Maybe there's another one that they like, and they put your client's information in there. Okay, this stuff continues to happen.
Correct.
Businesses are really struggling to monitor this. They go and use that, and next thing you know, your client's information is out there for everyone to see. Or
Yep. It's compromised.
or yeah, it's compromised, or maybe it's not. But as soon as someone hacks in or gets access to the training data to whatever degree, you're going to see some real issues
Right.
with your business. So you got to have the data sovereignty, and you got to have a platform where people can go to and ask questions where they don't feel like they're being monitored. If I go and ask a question, let's say for instance I'm a manager, okay,
Hmm.
these are questions that I've seen my people or people either I've managed or people that I've worked with ask. It's like they ask a super dumb question that they should really know the answer to, but they've had a long week. They have a lot of different competing priorities. They're stretched thin, and it's
Right.
just like I have no capacity to think anymore. So I'm going to ask this really dumb question. Well, they don't want it on the corporate computer, and they don't want someone else to think that they don't know this information. Well, where can I go and ask that? Go and ask that question. A public model offline, off of the company stuff, so I don't feel like I'm being monitored.
Right.
So we have, but there does need to be some aspect of compliance where they're not feeling that they're getting their neck breathed down, and their manager's not getting a report of, the fact that they're asking questions to AI. So I do think from a data sovereignty standpoint, there needs to be both a free form and a hardened, basically a two-layer AI where you can both go ask questions both from a personal directive and from a business directive.
Mm. Yeah, and something else I want to highlight here is, you know, advertising on ChatGPT or these other platforms, because I'm sure it's going to come to other platforms. It's a new playing field. It's no longer Facebook. It's no longer Google. I think there could be a real interesting opportunity to get in front of your clients, in front of your customers, using these ads. At the same time, you need to understand how it works and if it's actually going to suit you, if it's actually going to make sense for your business. I think that this is a new opportunity for some. All right, Sam, we got 5 minutes left. Let's
Okay.
talk time, money, people. There's
Pull the
three
lever. I love
there
it.
yeah, there's three things that every business owner needs to steward. It's time, money, and people. Those resources kind of encompass everything. So let's pull the lever.
Okay, great. Which one you want to do first?
Let's say let's since we were just talking about this Chat GPT advertisers thing, let's talk about that one first.
So if I was ChatGPT, OpenAI, Sam Altman
Yes.
now, if I was Sam
Yeah.
Altman now, the first thing I would do is I would be very focused on people, less about money and more on people. Here's why.
Hmm.
Number one, okay, both internal and external. So
Hmm.
my customers, users experience, as well as the people that I have in house.
Right.
Here's the deal with OpenAI. They've lost some really good people, mainly because of some conflicts, both rough edges that and as an owner, you're going to have rough edges. Those things happen. It's your job to figure out ways to get over that and to
Hmm.
work with the people because you are the current limiting factor of your business as an owner. Hands down, that's just the way it is, and that's the way it's always going to be. So people would say, "Oh, well, your people are your limiting factor." Well, you're a person too, and you're part of that
Right.
as an
Yeah.
owner.
Oh, and I've seen some, great teams fall apart because they're led by poor leaders. And
Correct. And the reality is that you even if you're a poor leader right now, it doesn't mean you can't just educate yourself
true.
and reflect on both actions and new information and being curious, resilient, and flexible. Those are the three major things. We've talked about those in previous episodes. So you got to remain curious, you got to remain resilient, and you got to remain flexible. So if I was Sam Altman at OpenAI right now, the first thing I would do is focus on people. You have a lot of people wars. We're seeing double and triple salaries and bringing people in. We've got people from Google DeepMind leaving. They're like, oh, well, they're getting picked up by Claude or these other companies. Well, you got to be very people focused for the talent, and if you can't keep talent, you go bye bye. Like if
Mhm.
and this particular piece, and we've already seen that with Claude, and the flip side of that, where Claude is now ahead of ChatGPT, both on the race, both on all of their data models and the scores that they're getting from these tests, and we're going to continue to see that. Why? It's because the owner, okay, was able to get rid of his rough edges to a degree. They're not all gone, but he was able to build a vision and a dream around that, and he was able to bring in talent. And they were able to raise money, so they raised money and people. So right now, they're continuing to focus and double down on people. You at this point in time, the biggest thing with AI is the amount of creativity that it needs to be able to build
Mhm.
and understanding. So both experience and creativity. So you got to stay curious, you got to remain flexible, and you got to be resilient. And so bringing those people on is it need you basically it yeah, you basically got to rebuild the team or move people up in the right direction. That if you can't do that, and you're continuing to drive people away where they're just not getting the vision anymore and they're saying goodbye, that's a problem. You got to have raving fans. You got to have raving employees. Like, man, it's like I would use this all day, every day.
Right.
And if you can't do that, and you're being, people are out competing you, it's just not going to go well. It really just isn't.
That's a great point. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they need to continue to be able to retain employees and have Yeah, you got to get the right people in your business and then keep them there long term in order for them to for you to keep that competitive advantage. And it's even worse if you lose them and they go to a competitor. So
Which they will.
yeah, very likely.
Yeah.
So all right, with regard to Cracker Barrel, what do you think? Time, money, or people is the play there?
Well, here's the reality: is they listen to people, they put it back,
True.
and there's some other things, but not without their battle wounds and scars to remember it by.
Yep.
So that ended up being people. I think where they're at right now, if I'm thinking about Cracker Barrel current day, they're going to have to spend some more money. The reality is that we've got more PR issues
Hmm.
in regards to that, not just externally, but internally, and the people that are serving. You've got to spend the money on it to make sure that the experience is right, making sure that people are well taken care of, their customers, potential customers. I remember one of the studies that was done years ago is like, why is Cracker Barrel doing so well? Well, it's because they're on those highway exits.
Yep.
And the reality is, there's still some highways that are being built, not a lot, but the reality is that there's still strategic locations that they can still go and get. And so instead of, I would basically spend my dry powder to double down on the experience and say, okay, this is an experience. We're to change this, make sure certain things are in line. So if I go there, I have my expectations are being met, and then maybe a little bit of innovation is going to be helpful on the product side too. So the food,
Okay.
well, and the products from the store too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the spending of money towards research, like understanding who they are, what's important to the customer base, is I think they've done some of that, and they've also paid the ignorance tax, and found out the hard way.
Correct.
Um, but they there's more to learn, and I think I think that's likely the play is they need to spend their money wisely in the right places, um, get data on the front end,
Hmm.
and not make these big changes on the back end. Okay, for how about for Spotify? Time, money, or people? What do you think what's the most important there?
See, this one's hard because they're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really see the price increase as an issue. I see it as their quality is increased, so therefore the price is justified. So if I was them now, doing well, things are going well, we're moving in the right direction. People are happy with me. They're willing to pay the money. It really becomes truly not a money problem, and it becomes not a time problem. It becomes a people problem.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
would agree.
'cause the reality is that people problems ultimately turn into money problems and then also then turn into time problems or time and money problems. So at this point in time, I would say focus on the people, focus on the people that are creating the product, focus on the artists, focus on the actual platform and that user experience, and continue to do things that are innovative, like the end of the year wrap up that was absolutely amazing. So again, I think this really it's again it's cyclical. So things cycle through. In this case, I would say people.
Yeah, I would agree. Keeping a high level of personalization, thinking of new innovative ways to be personalized, to engage users, not only consumers but also creators. So maybe make it simpler, easier to have a podcast, or
Hmm.
make music or whatever it might be. Um, I think both of those will enhance the brand and continue to drive it forward. So, understanding the people side of things, um, you know, keeping talent inside internally and then externally, innovate so that
Hmm.
you keep that personalization is going to be very, very important.
Perfect. All right.
Well, we're at
Yeah, I
the
think we're at the end.
Yeah, we're at the end. Sam, let the people know how they can find us.
All right. Well, if you've made it to the end, hit that like button, send a comment and say, made it to the end. Would love
Yep.
to hear from you. For those that, and just so you know, for those that um, have that make it to the end and actually put a comment in there, I'll give I have a special little PDF that I'll send your way. So drop a comment. I'll send you a DM with the link to it. Would love to send that to you. That'll be here for all for the next couple weeks here as we're doing this.
Nice.
So go to chiefgoofficers.com to find out more about us. Book some time. Would love to have it. Again, this is a live show. I would love to have you call in and as in a link to get onto the show to have a conversation with us about your business. Would love to have that. And we're up here every Tuesday through Thursday during the lunch hour, so you can both eat, enjoy, relax, and listen to the things that matter, which is business decisions that can move things forward for yours. So, with that said, keep building that moat. I'm Sam Robinson.
And I'm Kyle Harbaugh. Keep building the moat.
Yeah.